Picture this. You are lying on the couch staring at the ceiling. Your phone is on the other side of the room, and you are so bored that even counting the cracks in the paint feels like an Olympic sport. In the modern world, this scene is considered a crime against productivity, like you are failing life because you are not juggling 3 side hustles while learning Mandarin and bench pressing a Tesla. But what if I told you that this exact moment of doing absolutely nothing could be the secret sauce to becoming a genius? Yes, the kind of genius that makes people say things like, "How do they come up with this stuff?" while you just nod mysteriously and pretend you did not just get the idea while watching dust particles in sunlight. We have been trained to fear boredom as if it is a contagious disease, but science and ancient wisdom agree on something shocking. Boredom is not a glitch in your brain, it is a feature, and not just any feature. It is the feature that clears out the mental junk drawer so new and brilliant ideas can move in rent-free. The problem is that most of us treat boredom like an ex we never want to bump into. The second it shows up, we run to our phones, our Netflix queues, our snack cupboards, anything to distract ourselves from the void. But here is the twist. That void is where the magic happens. The Zen masters call it shunyata, the fertile emptiness, the space between thoughts where insights sneak in. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network, the brain's background system that fires up when we stop actively thinking. It is like the janitor crew of your mind, sweeping up stale ideas and making space for creativity to stretch its legs. And psychologists have found that people who allow themselves to experience boredom score higher on measures of divergent thinking, which is the fancy term for coming up with weird but useful ideas, the exact skill that separates meh from mind-blowing. Think about it. When you are constantly bombarded with information, your brain is like a browser with too many tabs open, sluggish, overheated, and about to crash. Purposeful boredom is like hitting refresh, closing the junk tabs, and letting the important processes run faster. It is mental decluttering without the Marie Kondo tears. And it is not new. History is full of ridiculously productive people who embraced boredom like it was their creative sidekick. Charles Darwin famously took long, slow walks every day, looking at plants and letting his mind wander. Newton sat under a tree, and yes, the apple story might be a myth, but the boredom that led to his theory of gravity was real. Even Bill Gates has think weeks, where he goes off alone with nothing but books and notepaper, like a billionaire monk with Wi-Fi. Now, you might be thinking, okay, fine, I will be bored, but what am I supposed to actually do? The answer is deceptively simple: nothing. Real boredom is not just being understimulated, it is resisting the urge to fill every gap with dopamine. That means you cannot scroll Instagram while calling it mind wandering. You have to actually let your mind wander. But purposeful boredom is not about suffering, it is about making space. You can walk with no headphones, stare out the window on the bus, or sit in the park without touching your phone. At first, it feels like you are wasting time, but then the brain starts connecting dots it could not connect before. That is when you get those aha moments in the shower, or on a walk, or while staring at a wall like an IKEA showroom dummy. This works because when your brain is not focused on an immediate task, it starts rummaging through your mental storage unit, pulling out random memories, half-formed ideas, and emotional fragments, mixing them together like a DJ at a genius party. And that is where innovation happens. It is why you might suddenly solve a problem you have been stuck on for weeks while doing something completely unrelated. The great irony is that the less you chase ideas, the more likely they are to show up. It is like trying to catch a cat. The harder you chase, the faster it runs away. But if you just sit quietly, it will eventually come and sit on your laptop right when you need to type an email. Of course, there is a difference between purposeful boredom and the zombie state of binge-watching reality TV until your frontal lobe begs for mercy. One is a deliberate pause, the other is mental junk food. Purposeful boredom is like fasting for your brain, giving it time to reset and repair, while endless distraction is like force-feeding it potato chips until it falls into a coma. And studies back this up. A 2014 study from the University of Central Lancashire found that people who performed a deliberately boring task before a creative challenge came up with more ideas than those who jumped straight into the challenge. Boredom had primed their brains for creativity. Another study from the Academy of Management showed that bored employees were more likely to engage in creative problem solving, probably because their brains were screaming, "Please give me something interesting to do before I lose it." So how do you bring purposeful boredom into your life without accidentally falling into the Netflix pit? First, you need boredom appointments. Yes, literally schedule nothing. Pick 15 to 30 minutes a day where you just exist without input. No phone, no TV, no podcasts, no books. At first, your brain will twitch like an addict denied their fix. But if you stick with it, the twitching stops and the ideas start flowing. Second, use slow activities as a boredom gateway. Gardening, folding laundry, washing dishes. These are surprisingly great for letting your mind drift. The body is occupied, the mind is free. It is like tricking your brain into creativity rehab. Third, resist micro-distractions. The average person checks their phone over 100 times a day, which is like trying to bake a cake but opening the oven every minute to peek inside. You never get a result. Give your mind uninterrupted space and watch it rise like mental sourdough. And here is the part that might blow your mind. Boredom is also good for emotional processing. When you stop stuffing your brain with noise, the feelings you have been avoiding bubble up. That can be uncomfortable, but it is also healing. You might realize why you have been stressed, or that you actually do not want that promotion you have been chasing, or that you have been wearing socks with tiny holes for 3 years, and it is time to move on. It is like giving your subconscious a microphone, and sometimes what it says changes your entire life direction. The Zen masters figured this out centuries ago. They would sit in meditation, doing absolutely nothing for hours, and they called it the gateway to insight. They knew that emptiness is not the absence of something, it is the space for everything. When you stop clinging to constant activity, your mind can reflect reality clearly, and in that clarity, wisdom emerges. It is no coincidence that so many spiritual traditions have some form of stillness practice. In Christianity, it is contemplation. In Buddhism, it is meditation. In Stoicism, it is reflection. And in the modern productivity cult, it is just called taking a break. But deep down, it is the same principle: step back, and the path forward reveals itself. So, why does purposeful boredom create genius? Because genius is not about grinding your brain into dust, it is about creating the conditions for insight. It is about trusting that your brain, like a snow globe, needs time for the chaos to settle so you can see clearly. It is about giving your mental muscles time to rest so they can grow stronger. It is about realizing that you do not have to be constantly producing to be valuable. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Here is the takeaway. If you want to be more creative, more insightful, and less stressed, stop treating boredom like an enemy and start treating it like a spa day for your brain. Make friends with the empty spaces. Let your mind wander without guilt. Protect your attention like it is the last cookie at a party. The world is loud enough, your genius lives in the quiet. And the next time someone catches you staring into space and asks what you are doing, just say, "I am working on my next breakthrough," and watch them feel a little jealous. So go ahead. Be deliberately bored today. Schedule some nothing. Sit with the silence. Let your thoughts drift like clouds in a blue sky. And when the lightning bolt of inspiration hits, you can smile and know it was not an accident, it was by design. Now, if you found this little trip into the Zen art of boredom helpful, hilarious, or just a great excuse to ignore your to-do list for 10 minutes, then you know what to do. Drop a comment sharing the weirdest place you have ever had a brilliant idea. Hit that subscribe button so you can keep filling your brain with fast, funny, genius-level content. And join us here at XQ. Quick, funny explanations for the kind of knowledge that makes you laugh out loud while secretly making you smarter than your boss.